Go check out my Patreon page, Henry Mockingbird. Hello, boys and ghouls. I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache. Well, we're back to talking about these two again. Back in 2019, I reviewed Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein as my very first Halloween-themed review. Might as well continue with the Abbott and Costello Meet the Monsters train with the second Abbott and Costello Meet movie. And that was Abbott and Costello Meet the Killer. And despite having Boris Karloff in it, it was more of a murder mystery than it was a horror comedy. So we're going to go with the second Abbott and Costello Meet Monster film. That, of course, leads me to my haunted, spooky review of Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. So, let us start this trilogy of Halloween reviews off, shall we? The film is about two private eye detectives, Lou Francis and Bud Alexander, played by Abbott and Costello, who are helping out a boxer named Tommy Nelson, who was framed for the murder of his boxing manager. To find out who really killed his boxing manager, and to make sure he doesn't get caught by the police, he turns himself invisible. So what do I think? Well, I'll tell you. Well, I like it. This is my second favorite out of the Abbott and Costello Meet Monsterverse. The first being Abbott and Costello Meet Frankenstein. The best scene in the movie is a boxing match, and where the Invisible Man is the third man in the ring, with Costello, aka Lou, as the boxer. Abbott and Costello as Lou and Bud have great chemistry. Their timing is always on point. And the reaction of Lou, aka Costello, seeing, Tommy turn invisible is actually kind of hilarious and terrifying at the same time. I think when I first saw this scene as a kid, I pretty much had the same reaction he did. Me seeing Tommy turn invisible, I think I could pretty much sum my reaction up with this clip. Of course, practically nobody believes Blue, aka Costello, even his pal Bud, aka Abbott. Now, if this were Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, he would have probably spent almost the whole movie not believing him at all. But of course, and fortunately for us, the Invisible Man makes him believe and shuts him up pretty quick. We also have a hard-ass detective, Detective Roberts, played by William Frawley, who a lot of you might know as Fred from I Love Lucy. Next up is the Invisible Man's love interest, Helen, played by Nancy Guild. And the only problem I have with her is that her name is pretty much on every single one of the posters, and yet she's not on any of said posters. Hell, the hench lady, Booze Marsden, and yes, that's her name, who is pretty much seduces Lou, and you can tell that she's seducing Lou because she's wearing 1950s lingerie. She's on every single one of the posters, and yet she disappears towards the end of the film. Now, this is something of a sequel to the 1933 Invisible Man. We get many references to the Invisible Man, including Jack Griffin, the original Invisible Man, and how he went insane, and a picture of Jack Griffin, aka Claude Rains, who voiced the Invisible Man in the 1933 Invisible Man. Woo-wee! Try saying that 3 times fast. Anyway, the effects and where the Invisible Man is, invisible, aka the optical effects, were done by Stanley Hoser, son of David Hoser, the man who pioneered the special effects for The Invisible Man Returns, as well as The Invisible Woman and The Invisible Agent. The film was directed by Charles Lamont, who directed such films as Ma and Pa Kettle Go to Town, Abbott and Costello and the Foreign Legion, Abbott and Costello Meet Captain Kidd, Abbott and Costello Go to Mars, Ma and Pa Kettle on Vacation, Abbott and Costello Meet Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Ma and Pa Kettle at Home, Abbott and Costello Meet the Keystone Cops, Abbott and Costello Meet the Mummy, and Francis in the Haunted House. Pretty much all I have to say about Abbott and Costello Meet the Invisible Man. Well, this spooky Halloween trilogy is not done yet. Tune in for the next Halloween special. Until then, I'm Henry R. Mockingbird, your host with the mustache, signing off. I give this film 5 stars. like, and subscribe to the channel and ring bell for future uploads. If you like to make a movie request on this channel, do so in the comment section below. And feel free to check out my other shows, Modern Classics, TV Treasures, and Geek Reviews. And check out my editorials.